How you doing there? Welcome back to Babylon Talmud. Today we're studying, let me check. What are we studying today? Ooh, right. Ooh, oof, okay, oof. And then what happens? Interesting stuff. Is that what we got up to? Oh my. Big leagues. Big leagues. Oh my gosh, I don't even know. Okay. Wow. Oh my gosh, so much to do. Today we're studying Daf Daled of Masechta BavaMetzia. Friends. I don't really remember what it talks about. When did I review this? I can't even remember. Oh, maybe yesterday. I can't. I'm away this week, and I'm like trying to figure out how to fit in Babylon Talmud is not the easiest thing. So I'm trying to hop around, review now, learn this, record that. So okay, but anyways, I think what we're talking about is Reb Chia, and then also Reb Sheshes Heilach. So give Heilach, interesting stuff. Okay, so let's jump in. Right. It's kind of weird because there aren't really good stopping points. Today we have a decent stopping point, I'd say, but we don't really have good stopping points around here. So we're like mamish in the middle of a sugya right now. And that sugya is, the Reb Chia says that, what does Reb Chia say? Oh, gewaltige sugya. So Reb Chia says that, if Shimon says to Reuven, you owe me $100. Reuven says, no, I don't. And then witnesses come and say, actually, what Reuven owes Shimon is $50. So Reb Chia says that Reuven needs to swear that so yeah, obviously he has to pay $50 because witnesses says he has to pay $50. He has to pay $50. With regard to the remaining $50, Reuven needs to swear that he doesn't owe them. It's be'etzim like a variant of Modeh BeMiktsas. What's Modeh BeMiktsas? Modeh BeMiktsas would be if Shimon says to Reuven, you owe me $100. Reuven says, I only owe you $50. So when Reuven says, I owe you $50, that's Modeh BeMiktsas and he has to swear. This case is somewhat different. Well, is different in that Shimon says to Reuven, you owe me $100. Reuven says, I don't owe you any dollars. And it's the witnesses who are saying that, in fact, Reuven owes $50, not $100. So Reb Chia had said that Reuven needs to swear, so he obviously has to pay the $50, and he has to swear with regard to the remaining $50 that he doesn't owe anything. Now, Reb Chia had said that Tafka, why does he have to swear? How do we know that he has to swear in this case? Well, it's a Kal V'chomer. The question is, what's the Kal V'chomer? We wanted to say yesterday that, well, it has to do with Piv, right? Meaning his own admittance as opposed to the witnesses coming. Meaning if by his own admittance he has to pay, he has to swear. If by his own verbal admittance he has to swear, when he says, I don't owe you 100, I owe you 50, he has to swear. So then certainly when witnesses are coming and saying that you owe $50, he would have to swear there as well. So the Kal V'chomer being that, well, if by Piv he needs to swear, so then certainly by Eidim he needs to swear. But we had some trouble there by saying that actually maybe you can argue that Piv is actually more stringent than Eidim. So because we can't say therefore that it's coming, the Kal V'chomer is Piv versus Eidim, so now we are taking a different route, which is Eid Echod versus Shtei Eidim, and with this begins today's treat. Every day is a treat, right? Every episode of Babylon Talmud is like the sweetest, the sweetest treat, right? Okay. Where are we? Okay. Okay, gewaltig. 5 lines from the bottom of Gimel Amud Beis. Elo Asya mi'ed echod. Okay, so the Kal V'chomer comes from Eid Echad, from one witness. What about one witness? Ma eid echod she'ein mechayvo momin mechayvo shvue eidim shemechayven also momin ein odin shemechayven also shvue. Let me tell you, Epis. It's 7:30 in the morning. I've already had, I think, 4 coffees. I could use another. I don't know those coffees. I don't know what they are. They might. I don't know why I should be on a caffeine overload. Al kaponim. If in eid echod cannot be mechayev mammon, right? Of course, we know al pi shnayim edim. You need 2 witnesses. In Jewish law, 2 witnesses, gold. 2 witnesses come and say something, we do what they say. 1 witness, we don't do what he says. You need 2. 1 is not enough. 1 can, however, be mechayev a shvuah. Right? So, for example, if Shimon says to Reuven, you owe $100, you owe me $100. Reuven says, I don't owe you anything. So, Reuven doesn't need to swear. He doesn't owe the money. Kol for hakol. But witnesses But then 1 witness comes and says that actually Reuven does owe the $100, so he can't be mechayev Reuven $100. It's only 1 witness. You need 2. 2 witnesses obviously would be mechayev Reuven $100. 1 witness can't be mechayev Reuven to pay $100, but he can be mechayev Reuven to swear that he's telling the truth and that he doesn't owe Shimon anything. So ela asimi eid echod. So we're learning it out from the kavachomas from an eid echod. Uma eid echod she'ein mechayvo momen. An eid echod cannot be mechayev mammon, right? An eid echod comes and says that Reuven owes Shimon $100. We can't rely on him. It's only 1 witness. Mechayev shvuah, but he could be mechayev a shvuah, that Reuven has to swear that he's telling the truth, that he doesn't owe Shimon anything. Eidim shemechayev also mammon, witnesses who are able to be mechayev mammon, right? Witnesses come and say Reuven owes $100, or in this case, the witnesses are coming and saying that Reuven owes Shimon $50. So we could be mechayev mammon. Eino din shemechayev also shvuah. So certainly then they should be able to be mechayev a shvuah. Ma le'eid echod shekein amashu made hu nishba. Interesting. Very interesting. Toma be'edim she'amashe kofar hu nishba. Ba ba ba. Bum, 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 ba-dum, bum. That's in my head now since the story of Rav Kahan and Rabbi Yochanan. Ba-dum, dum, da-dum, dum. Anyways, boop-a-doo, just thinking for a second. Okay, so I think you could say this, that let's say in our scenario, Shimon says to Reuven, you owe me $100. Reuven says, I don't owe you anything. 1 witness comes and says, Reuven, you owe $50. So we can't be mechayev Reuven to pay $50. It's only an eid echad. But on that statement of the witness, which is Reuven owes Shimon $50, Reuven needs to swear, and he says, I don't owe $50. So it's punkt about the thing that the eid echad is saying. That is what Reuven is swearing, is denying b'shvuah. So the aid comes and says Reuven owes $50. Reuven swears he doesn't owe $50. So it's punkt, that thing that the aid echad is testifying about, that Shimon is swearing to deny. No, that Reuven is swearing to deny. Masha'ein kain, which is not the case by the witnesses. The witnesses come and say, 2 witnesses come and say, Reuven owes Shimon $50. So Reuven has to pay $50, of course. What does then Reuven swear about? Not that he doesn't owe $50, he pays the $50. The 2 witnesses says he has to pay $50, he pays $50. What they're swearing, what Reuven is swearing now about is with regard to what they didn't testify about. With regard to the remaining $50, he swears about that that he holds to his word, to his claim that he doesn't owe anything there. So the difference between an Eid Echad and Shnei Eidim in this regard is that the Shvuah of an Eid Echad is punkt about the thing that the Eid Echad is testifying about, whereas the Shvuah with the two Eidim is davka testifying about he's davka swearing about what they didn't testify about. They testified that he owes $50, he pays $50, he then needs to swear that with regard to the remainder, he doesn't owe any of that. So therefore you can't really compare the two, or even in a certain sense, I guess that makes an Eid Echad, I guess, arguably stronger than, more severe, I guess, than Shnei Eidim, because in Eid Echad he has to swear about what the Eid Echad is talking about, whereas by the Shnei Eidim, he's swearing about something else. In under zach. Right, so Ma Eid Echad, I'm going to read that again, Shekin al Mashi hu meid hu nishba. By an Eid Echad, Davka Reuven is swearing about what the Eid Echad is testifying. The Eid Echad says you owe $50. Reuven Shimon's, I don't know, what? Reuven Shimon's, I love that. Reuven swears that he doesn't owe $50. Oh my gosh, Chevre, if I started saying Shimon instead of swear, Chevre, you would have no clue what I'm talking about. No clue. Reuven Shimon's to Shimon, oh my God, Chevre, Babylon Talmud would be impossible. It would be worse than Plop and Ploop. Reuven Shimon's to Shimon, Chevre, forget about new people. New people would be, it's a non-starter. I think even my friends at Babylon Talmud would have no clue what I'm talking about. And it's not your fault. It makes no sense. Oh God, I'm getting nervous because we're only getting up to today's daf now. These dafs are huge. Okay. Mashu meidu nishba. By Eid Echad, Take Reuven is davke shimening. No, I'm kidding. Reuven is davke swearing about that which the Eid Echad is testifying about. Tomar be'edim. Can you compare that to witnesses which are less significant in that? Sha'alma shekofar hu nishba. That Reuven is now swearing not about what the witnesses testified about. No, he's testifying about the remainder that he's now denying that, and he's saying that he's telling the truth. Rather says Rapope osimid gilgul shvueh. Okay. Comes from a Gilgul Shvuah de Eid Echad. A Gilgul Shvuah de Eid Echad. Aha. Wow. Okay, a Gilgul Shvuah. Who can tell me what a Gilgul Shvuah is? A Gilgul Shvuah is that if already, I think it's come up in the past before. I think I maybe tried to argue that it's, I think there's a concept called a secondary offense. Right? Like certain things that you can't get pulled over or stopped or arrested because of them. But if already you're getting, stopped for something that you can get stopped for, then they could have a look and say, you also have this, that's a problem. So a Gilgul Shvuah is that if there's something that on its own would not be Machayev Shvuah, but once already you have to swear, so then you could swear about that too. So by an Eid Echad, if an Eid Echad is Machayev Shvuah, and then once already he's swearing about the thing that the Eid Echad is Machayev Shvuah, he then also ends up swearing about some other thing which otherwise he wouldn't have had to swear about. So here you have an Eid Echad who's being Machayev a Shvuah on something different, right? We had said that the difference between an Eid Echad and two witnesses is that by the Eid Echad, Reuven is swearing about what the Eid Echad is talking is claiming, whereas by two witnesses, Reuven is swearing about what they're not claiming. But if you say, not that we learn out the Kavachomer from the fact that an Eid Echad is Mechayev a Shvuah, but from the fact that an Eid Echad is Mechayev a Gilgul Shvuah, that once an Eid Echad is Mechayev one Shvuah, he can then, once he's already swearing for that, there could then be a secondary Shvuah, which he's not testifying about. So we could therefore say that would be comparable to the Shvuah of the two witnesses, which is they're causing him not to swear about that which they didn't testify about. So therefore we can have the Kal V'chomer that if an Eid Echad who is unable to be Mechayiv Mammon can be Mechayiv a Gilgul Shvur, so then these two witnesses who can be Mechayiv Mammon, certainly they should be able to be Mechayiv Shvur as well. So again, so El Amr Papa rather says a Papa also be Gilgul Shvur, the Eid Echad. The Kal V'chomer comes from the fact that an Eid Echad can be Mechayiv a Gilgul Shvur. But Ma the Gilgul Shvur, the Eid Echad Shekain Shvur Gerer Shvur. But gosh, my lips have been like all weird. Ma the Gilgul Shvur, the Eid Echad Shekain Shvur Gerer Shvur. But one second. When it comes to Gilgul Shvur of an Eid Echad, it's the Shvur that's Mechayiv the Shvur. Tome be'edim de Mammon ko Mechayiv. That by the Eid Echad, the Daf could be Mechayiv Mammon, and once he's Mechayiv Mammon, then you have to make a Shvur on the rest. Meaning, I don't know if I just said Eid Echad, but Shnei Eidim, whatever. By an Eid Echad, the way that Gilgul Shvur works is that once already has to swear about one thing, so it's the fact that he's swearing on this that causes him then to swear about the other thing. So by Gilgul Shvur, it's the Shvur that's being Mechayiv. The first Shvur is Mechayiv the second Shvur, as opposed to two witnesses. They're not being Mechayiv him a Shvur, they're being Mechayiv him to pay. And once he has to pay for the 50, we're then saying he's going to swear about the remaining money. So it's a different thing, right? The Gilgul Shvur, it's the Shvur that's being Mechayiv the second Shvur, whereas by the two witnesses, it's the payment that then is being Mechayiv him to have to swear about the rest of it. So again, so Mala Gilgul Shvur, the Eid Echad, Shekin Shvur Gerer Shvur, that the first Shvur is the Mechayiv the second Shvur. Tomer be'edim, can you compare that to witnesses, the Mammon ko Mechayiv, that they're being Mechayiv him Mammon, and then once he is paying the and then he then would have to just pay swear that the remaining money he doesn't owe, but it's not a shvur that's being mechayiv him a shvur. Okay, so piv yochiach. Okay, fine. So if we can't learn it out from Eid Echad versus Shtei Eidim, so let's go back to saying that the Kal V'chomer is, like we had said yesterday, piv, that if by his own saying he's mechayiv a shvur by moda BavaMetzia, so certainly by witnesses there will be a shvur malefiv. But one second, the problem with piv shekain eino pe'ak chosho. We said yesterday that piv, if he admits that he owes money, even if other witnesses come and say that he doesn't owe the money, it's too late. Hodas balden kimei edim domi. That if one of the litigants admits something, so that's as good as if 100 witnesses testified about it. We go with it. So we said that you can't learn out the Kal V'chomer from piv, because piv is actually more stringent to the extent that there's no din of hakchosha by piv. Eid Echad yochech. Okay, so let's learn out from Eid Echad sheyeshno be'hakchosha that Eid Echad also has hakchosha u'mechayiv u'shvur, and it can be mechayiv a shvur. Mal Eid Echad sheken amashem me'id hu nishba. Yeah, but we said you can't learn out from Eid Echad, because Eid Echad, the Ruvain is swearing punkt about what the Eid Echad testified about. Tomar be'edim, you can't say that by edim she'alma she'kofar hu nishba. He's dafka swearing about not what the witnesses testified, but about what he's denying. Meaning they testify he owes $50, he pays $50, but then he swears about the remainder. So piv yochiach, okay, it's fine. So if we can't learn it out from an Eid Echad, so let's learn it out from piv v'chazor hadin. Okay, but we said you can't learn it out from piv. So lower izek rizev, lower izek rizev. Okay, fine. So if you try to learn out from piv, it's got its problems. If you try to learn it out from Eid Echad, it's got its problems. But hatzad hashava shaboin, the common denominator is sha'yidei taino v'chvir ein boin, that there is a claim, there is a denial, and there is a shvur v'nishba afani avi edim So also I'll say that just like by Piv and just like by Eid Echad, also by two Eidim, Sha'ayidei Taine Uchvir Heim Boim, that they're making a claim and he is making a denial, V'nishba, that he will have to swear. But Ma, Latzad HaShaveh Sheboim. Yeah, but there's a problem with the Tzad HaShaveh. Shekein Lo Huchzok Kafron. Both by an Eid Echad and by a Hodoas Piv, he hasn't been determined to be a liar, essentially, right? Meaning when two witnesses, when Shimon says to Reuven, you owe $100, Reuven says, no, I don't. Witnesses come and say, you owe $50. So witnesses came and said he owes $50. He said he doesn't owe anything. He's a liar. So by two witnesses, Reuven would not be considered a liar. Now, by an Eid Echad, we don't assume that he's a liar. It's only an Eid Echad. We don't trust one witness. He's enough to be Mechayev Reuven Shvua, but we presume innocence. Additionally, when Shimon says that Reuven owes $100 and Reuven says he owes $50, so we say he has to swear. It's not because we assume that he's a liar. We have no reason to assume that. So by Eid Echad and by Piv, we don't assume that Reuven is a liar. But by two witnesses, we know that Reuven is a liar. Tomar be'edim shekin huchzok kafrin. How can you say by witnesses where we know he's a liar? Uve'edim mihuchzok kafrin. But by witnesses, is he really considered a liar? V'amr v'idi bar Oven, amr v'chizda hakofer b'milve kosher le'edus b'pikadon pasul le'edus. That says Rav Idi bar Oven, Rav Chizda, that somebody who denies a loan is actually kosher le'edus. Is actually kosher le'edus. That if Shimon says to Reuven, you owe me $100, Reuven says, no, I don't. Witnesses come and says, yes, you do. So he's kosher le'edus. Why is he kosher le'edus? Because milve lo tzah nitna. Because the assumption is that, when Shimon lent $100 to Reuven, he lent it to Reuven to spend it. Like that, that's just, right? We've seen this before. Milve lo tzah nitna. It's meant to be spent, i.e. the assumption is that Reuven is not going to have it. At least at some point. He's obviously going to have to pay it back, but the assumption is that he's not going to have it the whole time. And therefore, it could be that he's rationalizing it to say, look, I just want to buy more time till I can get it back. Meaning, obviously the assumption is that I spent it, that I don't have it. The point is I need to get it back. I'm just trying to buy more time to get it back. We don't assume that he's necessarily a liar. We just assume that, he's trying to rationalize it to himself, until he gets it back. Which would not be the case by a pikadon, a deposit. A deposit he has no business touching. Right? If Shimon gives something to Reuven to watch, so Reuven has to watch it. He can't do anything else with it. And therefore, if Shimon says to Reuven, I want it back, and he says, I don't know what you're talking about. Or if Shimon says to Reuven, I want it back, and he says, I don't know what you're talking about. What do you mean you don't know what you're talking about? Where is it? So therefore, why are we saying that if witnesses come, we assume that Reuven is a liar? We know that if witnesses come and testify that Reuven in fact owes money, he could still be a witness. So clearly he's not a liar. Right, so again, Umi huchzak, right? Uve'edim huchzak kafran. Even with witnesses, is Reuven really considered a liar? V'amr v'idi bar Oven, amr v'chizak ofer b'milve kosher le'edus. A person who denies a loan is still kosher le'edus. B'pikadon pasul le'edus, but by deposit you'd be pasul le'edus. El prechachi rather ask like this: Malatzad hashaveh sheboin shekein einon b'toras hazomim. That but the tzad hashaveh is that neither Modeh BavaMetzia nor in Eid Echad, right, in neither case is there a din hazama. There's only a din, right? There's no din hazama, right? If an Eid Echad comes and says that Reuven owes, $100, and it turns out that he's an Eid Zomim, he won't have to pay the $100. The concept of asisim lo kasher zomim lasos lochiv only applies to two witnesses, not to one witness. And obviously also by, Modeh BavaMetzia, there's no Eidim Zomim. So both Eid Echad and Piv are immune, are not shaykh to hazama. Masha enkein by Edom Zom, that by Edom, that they can become Edom Zom. Tomer be'Edom sheyeshna b'Torah hazama. Halo kasha. Well, that isn't really a question, because Reb Chia Torah hazama lo parich. Because Reb Chia doesn't really view it that way. Right? Meaning, we're saying that there's no din hazama by in Eid Echad because there's no vasisim lo kasher zama. That might be true, but there is still the concept of if witnesses come and say, Iman, right, you were with us somewhere else, we're still going to disqualify his testimony. Fine, maybe we might not do vasisim lo kasher zama. We might not make him pay what he was trying to make the other guy pay. Okay, that could be. But we're still going to discard his testimony. So Reb Chia would consider that to be that there is Torah hazama by Eid Echad. So therefore, that to throw out the tzad hashaveh, to say that, well, by Piv and by Eid Echad there's a shvuah, so therefore also by Edom there's a shvuah, that seems to be valid. Okay, fine. Okay, so now the Gemara kind of moves on to the next part. Okay, so after Reb Chia had made his statement, he had said that we bring a proof from our Mishnah, right, support from our Mishnah. That Reb Chia had said, if Shimon says to Reuven, you owe me $100, Reuven says, I don't owe you anything. Witnesses come and say that Reuven owes $50. So we say that Reuven then has to swear, he has to obviously pay Shimon $50, and he has to swear with regard to the remaining $50 that he doesn't owe it. And we said that we have a support from our Mishnah, that Reuven and Shimon are both going after the same talis. Be'etzim, Shimon is saying, Reuven, it's all mine. Reuven is saying, it's not. We're basically testifying for Reuven and saying, yes, 50% of it, half of it does belong to, we're testifying for Shimon and saying 50% of it belongs to Shimon. And we're saying that there's a shvuah. So we want to say from our Mishnah that, Shimon says one thing, Reuven denies it. We testify about 50%, there's a shvuah. Okay. So v'tanetune, when it says v'tanetune, where am I? Okay. Midami, but is our Mishnah in fact similar to the case of Shimon and Reuven and the witnesses and the $50? In that case, with Shimon and Reuven with the money, $50, the witnesses, Shimon has witnesses that are saying that he's owed money. Reuven has no witnesses to say that he doesn't owe the money. Okay, I think you can apparently skip these next few words till the end of the line. That if Reuven did have witnesses, okay, let's just read it with these words. Why not? All right, let's back up. That Shimon has witnesses. Reuven, the borrower, doesn't have any witnesses to testify that he does not owe anything. Maybe they get rid of it because what does it mean to have witnesses that testify that he doesn't owe it? I don't know. Because if Reuven did have witnesses to support his claim, then Reb Chia would not have required Reuven to swear, right? Meaning, Shimon says to Reuven, you owe me $100. Reuven says, I don't. Witnesses now come and say that Reuven owes $50. So now Reuven has to swear. But if Reuven would have brought his own witnesses, then he wouldn't have had to swear. But Hacha, in our case, in our case of Shnaim Oichs and Metalis, Shimon is saying it's all mine. Reuven is saying no, it's not. It's all mine. We are then coming to testify for them that 50% of it is Shimon's and 50% of it is Reuven's. So in this case, they both have, I guess the halacha, is working as their witnesses to testify that there's validity to their claim. So if that's the case, then I would think that Reb Chia should say in this case that there shouldn't be a shvuah, or, the fact that there is a shvuah, that certainly does not support Reb Chia's claim, where if Reuven would have had witnesses that he doesn't owe any money, he wouldn't have had to swear. Right, so and even though they both, by Shnaim Ochs Betalos, both Shimon and Reuven have witnesses, still they have to swear. Eleki itmar v'tanetune a idoch de Reb Chia itmar. Okay, this gets into the sugya of Heilach, opening up a brand new sugya, a brand new statement of Reb Chia. Reb Chia had sort of made a splash yesterday with his statement of Shimon and Reuven and the $50 and the witnesses. Now he's going to make another splash. The Omer Reb Chia says, Reb Chia, Monoli b'yodcho. Shimon says to Reuven, you owe me $100. Behala Omer, you know what Reuven says? Ein l'cha b'yod ela nun zuz. Okay, I only owe you $50. Okay, sounds like modeh b'miktsas. Veheilach. And here, they're yours. Take them. They're yours, take them. Chayiv. So Reuven needs to swear. Because Heilach is be'etzem modeh b'miktsas. So, okay, this is actually I guess it would seem to us over here right now like this is actually no big chidushim over here, right? Meaning, Shimon says to Reuven, you owe me $100. Reuven says, I don't owe you $100, I owe you $50, here you go. And we're saying that Reuven needs to swear, it's modeh b'miktsas. Shimon said, you owe me $100, Reuven says it's 50, he has to swear, modeh b'miktsas. Okay. The fact that he says, here, take him, makes no difference. So again, my time, how come Heilach nami k'modeh b'miktsas atayna dami? Because Heilach is be'etzim no different than modeh b'miktsas, and he has to swear. V'tanetune, and we have a support from our Mishnah, Shnaim Ochs Betalos, you have Reuven and Shimon who are vying over this talis. V'ahocha kevon de tofis. V'ahocha kevon de tofis. That since he's holding onto it, on inside to my detofis Heilach hu, that what he's holding is be'etzim, he's saying, here, take it, v'katani yishava. And we're saying he has to swear, meaning Shimon is saying, to Reuven, this talis is mine. Reuven is saying that it's mine. And I guess be'etzim what he's saying is, he's saying, at least 50% of it is mine. And I guess be'etzim what he's therefore saying is 50% of it is yours. Take it, because it's, because Shimon's, I don't know, am I understanding this right? Maybe yes, maybe no. But I guess Shimon is saying that it's all mine. Reuven, maybe is saying 50% of it is yours, and take it, because since Shimon already is holding it, Reuven is be'etzim saying, Shimon, take it. And we're saying still, Reuven would need to swear that the other half belongs to him. So we see that by modeh b'miktsas, even if he says Heilach, it makes no difference, and you're still going to have to swear. I don't know, maybe I understood that correctly, maybe I didn't. Rav Sheshes Amar, now here's the bigger chiddush. Rav Sheshes Amar says, Heilach potter. That Heilach is poshit potter. My time, how come Kevin Amar le Heilach, the once he says here, it's yours, Hane zuze de kamodi bigavayu kiman dinokit lu mal vedami. So the money that he's admitting, it's like the lender has it. But ina chamishim holo modi hilkach leka hodoas miktsasatayne. I know that probably was not understandable. I will explain it now. Rav Shesha says that Shimon says to Reuven, you owe me $100. Reuven says, no, I don't. I owe you $50. Here, take them. So says Rav Sheshes that when Reuven says, here, take them, so then it's treated like Shimon has this money, has these $50. Okay, so what's remaining? Another $50. Now, with regard to these $50, Reuven denies all of it. Kofer Hakol. He's denying all of it. And by Kofer Hakol, when you deny all of it, there's no shvuah. There's no swear. So therefore, Rav Sheshes says that by Heilach, there's no shvuah. So meaning, without Heilach, so if Shimon says to Reuven, you owe me $100, Reuven says, no, I don't. I only owe you $50. So that's Modeh BeMitzas, and he would have to swear, right? Shimon saying 100, Reuven saying it's half that amount. He has to swear. What's different about this case is that Shimon is saying to Reuven, you owe me $100. Reuven is saying, actually it's 50, here, take it. So now it's as though Shimon has this $50, right? The lender has the $50. What's remaining now in the claim is only the other $50, of which Reuven is denying all of it. So that's Kofer HaKol. When it comes to Kofer HaKol, there's no shvuah at all. And therefore, Rav Sheshes argues that by Heilach, Reuven is potter from a shvuah. You hear that? Again, Rav Sheshes, someone says, Rav Sheshes, Heilach potter. That by Heilach, Reuven is take potter. My time outcome came to Omerle, Heilach hanezuze, Heilach, that once Reuven says to Shimon, Heilach, take it, hanezuze dekamode bigavayu kiman dinokit luhu malve domi. So the $50 that Reuven is admitting, and he's saying here, Shimon, it's yours, it's as though Shimon has them and is holding them, and therefore be'inoch hamishum, with regard to the remaining 50, halo modi, Reuven is not admitting anything, he's denying all of it. And Kofer HaKol is potter from a shvuah. Hilkach leko doas miktsas sataina. Therefore, you no longer have modeh b'miktsas. Rather, what you in practice have right now is Kofer HaKol, and there's no shvuah. Rav Sheshes kasher masnisin. But according to Rav Sheshes, what about our Mishnah? We wanted to say that our Mishnah would be an indication that by Heilach there is a shvuah. Amalek Rav Sheshes would reply, Masnisin takonas chachomim he. Our Mishnah is only a takonas chachomim that he would have to swear. It's not meikar hadin. Ve'idoch, and Rav Chia would say, in takonas chachomim he, sure, it is a takonas chachomim, but umiu yomet bishlam midoraisa heila chayev mitakni rabon and shvuah kein doraisa. Rav Chia would argue, look, if you say that heilach is chayev v'shvuah, so then in the case of shnei moichs and betalis, the rabbanon are enacting a shvuah based on the shvuah doraisa. That if midoraisa by heilach you chayev v'shvuah, so then they also say that in the case of shnei moichs and betalis, there would be a shvuah just like by heilach there's a shvuah. Eli omet midoraisa heilach potter mitakni rabon and shvuah deleisa de kavos midoraisa. But if midoraisa heilach is potter from a shvuah, so then why would the chachomim enact a shvuah by shnei moichs and betalis based on what? Based on nothing. Meisve. We have a kasha. I think we're just going to ask two kashas. I don't remember if this one is on Rav Sheshes or on Rav Chia. I can't remember. I think this one might be on Rav Sheshes, and then we're going to ask the kasha on Rav Chia. Maybe it's vice versa. I can't remember. And then we're going to call it for the day. So I don't know how much longer this is going to take. Meisve. We have a kasha. Sloim dinarin malva omer chomesh v'love omer shalish. Reb Shimon ben Elazar omer hol v'hode miktsas atani yishava. Rabbi Akiva omer eino elo kemeshiv aveda ufater. Very interesting. Shimon has a document that says that Reuven owes him sla'im or dinarin. Let's just go with sla'im because it's easier to work with one thing than two things. Shimon has a document that says that Reuven owes him sla'im, coins. Doesn't say how many coins, just that Reuven owes him coins. Haha, great. As you can imagine, things get messy. Sla'im dinarin malva omer chomish. Shimon says, oh yeah, 5 sellers. Below omer shalish. Whereas Reuven says, what are you talking about? It's not 5, 3. Reb Shimon ben Elazar omer hol v'hod miktsas atayni yishava. Reb Shimon ben Elazar says, look, this is modeh b'miktsas. Shimon saying 5, Reuven saying 3. It's modeh b'miktsas, yishava. Reuven needs to swear. Rabbi Akiva omer says, Rabbi Akiva eino elo k'meishiv aveda ufater. Rabbi Akiva says, no, we only treat this like hashavas aveda, and therefore Reuven is potter from swearing. And I believe that this is because here's the thing. Here is the thing. Me'ikra din, the minimum of sla'im, the minimum of plural coins is 2. So therefore, me'ikra din, Shimon has a document that says that Reuven owes him coins. Minimum coins is 2. So me'ikra din, the document can only be used to collect 2. When Reuven says, well, actually, I owe Shimon 3, if I understand correctly, he's doing more than he really needs to. All the document is saying is 2, and he's saying 3. So he's going kind of above and beyond. So we treat it like Meishiv Aveda, like he's returning a lost item to Shimon, and he doesn't need to swear about it. Okay, fine. Katoni mihas. But what's important for our context is Reb Shimon ben Elazar. Omer says, Reb Shimon ben Elazar, hoil v'hoda miktsas atayne yishava. Reb Shimon ben Elazar says that Reuven needs to swear because it's modeh b'miktsas. Reuven needs to swear because it's modeh b'miktsas. Shimon had claimed that he's owed 5 sellers. Let's call it dollars. Shimon had claimed that he's owed $5. Reuven, let's go with sellers. Reuven says only 3 sellers. Reb Shimon ben Elazar says that is modeh b'miktsas, and Reuven needs to swear. But we're saying it's dafka modeh b'miktsas because Reuven is saying it's 3. What if Reuven would have stuck to the basic amount, which is 2? Right? Katanimias. Reb Shimon ben Elazar Omer, hol v'hoda miktsas atayni yishav. Since Reuven was modeh b'miktsas, he needs to swear. Tamido Omar shalish. The reason why he needs to swear, why we consider it to be modeh b'miktsas, is because Reuven admitted to 3 out of 5. Hashtayim. But if he would have only admitted to 2, which is be'etzem what's written in the document, it says selas, plural, slime, plural, which is 2 at a baseline. Tamashalish hashtayim potter. But if it were only 2, if Reuven would have only made it to 2, he'd be potter. Vayishtar kimodi be heilach hu. Now, this document, when Reuven is saying, yeah, of course, here's this document, essentially what he's saying is that, yeah, there's that document, and, here's the money, right? Or I think Rashi says that, because a document is basically a shibud karkos, so essentially what he's saying is, yeah, there's that document, and the property, wherever it is, belongs to you. Or at least he's gonna, he's committing to the 2 sellers. So he's basically saying, yes, I owe the money, here it is. And Reb Shimon ben Elazar would say that in that case, Reuven would be potter from Shua. He's only chayav for Shua because he's saying that it's 3. Meaning, okay, if he would say that it's 2, which is what the document says, and he's basically saying, so Shimon is saying, you owe me 5. Reuven is saying, no, the document only says 2, and here, it's yours. And we're saying that he's potter from a shvuah. So we see that when he's modeh b'miktsas, and then he says heilach, and then he's basically denying the remainder, so he's potter from a shvuah. But when he says 3, however, so then he's basically saying heilach on the document, right? So the document is saying that he owes 2, and he's saying, sure, okay, I owe 2, but then of the remaining 3, he's saying, I only owe you 1 of those remaining 3, which is essentially modeh b'miktsas, and therefore he's chayav a shvuah. But if it would have been 2, then it would have been Heilach and he would be Potter. So Vishmamina Heilach Potter. So we see that Heilach is Potter, like Rav Sheshes, and it's a kasha on Rav Chia. So lo le'olam emelach shtayim nami chayiv. No, really, I will say to you that even if, meaning Rav Chia can argue that if he would have admitted to 2, he would also be chayiv in terms of, he would be chayiv because Heilach is chayiv, right? Heilach is not potter. So if he would have said 2, he would have, right? So Reb Shimon ben Elazar would say that just like when he admits to 3, he's chayiv shvua. So also if he would have admitted to 2, he would be chayiv a shvua because Heilach is chayiv a shvua. V'hai dekatoni sholish. The reason why we dafka mention 3 out of 5 and not 2 out of 5 is lafukim Rab Akiva d'amar meishav avedahu ufater, is to teach us about Rabbi Akiva, that Reb Shimon ben Elazar argues with Rabbi Akiva, because if it was, right, so Rabbi Akiva says that when it's 3, then he's Kimeshav Aveda and he's Potter. But if it would have been 2, so then Rabbi Akiva would have agreed with Reb Shimon ben Elazar that it would be Chayiv. So there's no Chiddush there, right? So if Shimon would say 5 and Reuven would say 2, so Reb Shimon ben Elazar and Rabbi Akiva would agree that Reuven would be Chayiv Shvur. But because he says 3, now it's machlokas between Rabbi Akiva, who says that he's potter because it's Kameshav Aveda, and Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar, who says that it's Modav Miktsas and he's Chayiv. So Rabbi Akiva says potter, and Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar says Chayiv. So we could say that Heilach is Chayiv, and even if Reuven would admit it to 2, he would have still be Chayiv. The only reason why the machlokas is expressed when it comes to when Reuven admits to 3 is in order to bring out the machlokas between Reb Shimon ben Elazar and Rab Akiva. Kamashlan demode miktsas hatayne have v'chayev. That Reb Shimon ben Elazar argues with Rab Akiva and says that even when he says 3, it would be considered modev miktsas and he would be chayev. If that's the case, Reb Shimon ben Elazar omer hol v'hode miktsas hatayne yishova. But that doesn't really fit into the language of the Brisa that good, because the Brisa says that Reb Shimon ben Elazar says that when Reuven admits to 3 out of 5, so Reb Shimon ben Elazar says, "Hold the miktsas," since he was modeh b'miktsas atayna yishava, that's why he has to swear, implying, well, af ze yishava miboilei. If what we're saying is correct, that Reb Shimon ben Elazar would say that even if Reuven would admit to 2, he'd be chayav shvua. Then what it should say is that even when he admits to 3, he's still chayav shvua because it's considered modeh b'miktsas. It's not like Rabbi Akiva says that it would be Hashava Kameshav Aveda. So it shouldn't just be that when Reuven admits to 3, he is Chayav Shvur, because that's Modav Miktsas. We should say that when he's Chayav, that even when he admits to 3, he is Chayav a Shvur, because even that would be considered Modav Miktsas. So Elul Olam Shtayim Potter. Okay, really, if Reuven would have admitted to 2, he would be Potter. But the reason why it would be Potter is not because Heilach is Potter. Heilach Chayiv. Heilach is Chayiv. The reason why he would be Potter here is V'shayni Hocha. It's different over here to Komisayeya Le Shtor. Because at the end of the day, you have a document that is saying that Reuven only owes 2, right? Meaning, Shimon is saying, Reuven owes me 5 sellers. Reuven is saying, look, I have a document that says sellers, plural, minimum sellers is 2, all I owe is 2. It's nothing to do with Heilach, it has to do with the fact that the document seems to be supporting Reuven's version. Inami, alternatively, Mishum Dahavali Shtar Shibud Karkos, alternatively, it's because a document is be'etzem a document that's saying that that Reuven needs to pay Shimon, and if not, Shimon can take property. So it's basically essentially a representation of property, and and you don't swear about property. You swear about metalton, you don't swear about property, and that is why there is no shvuah, but that is no indication on Heilach. Reb Chia would still argue that Heilach is chayiv shvuah. Now, Ika Demosiv Miseifa, those who have so kind of flip it around, they ask the kasha from Rabbi Akiva on the Seifa, which would be a kasha on Rav Sheshes. Ika Demosiv Miseifa, Rabbi Akiva, Omer says, Rabbi Akiva, Eino Elo Kameshiv Aveda Ufater, that when Shimon says that Reuven owes him 5 selas. Reuven says, I only owe you 3 selas. So Rabbi Akiva says that Reuven is potter from Shavuot because he's Kameshiv Aveda. Time of the Omer Shalish. So he's only potter because he says, I only owe you 3. Hashtayim Chayev. But if he would have said that I owe you 2, so it would be Chayev. V'ha shtar de kamodi bei kehelach domi. Now when Reuven admits to the document, so he's be'etzim saying, Helach, here's, right, yes, I owe you 2, take them, and Rabbi Akiva will be saying that you're chayiv, so we see that Helach is chayiv shvur. So Shmamina Helach chayiv, which is a kasha on Rav Sheshes. Lo olam emelach shtayim nami potter. No, I'll say that really, Rabbi Akiva would say that if Reuven admitted to 2, he would also be potter. By the Katani Shalosh, the only reason why why the Brisa mentions 3 is Lafukid Reb Shimon ben Elazar, in order to highlight the dispute between Rabbi Akiva and Reb Shimon ben Elazar, the Omar, who says that when it comes to 3, Moda Miksa Satayna Have V'chayev, it would be considered Moda Miksa Satayna B'chayev Komash Malon, and therefore the Brisa talks about 3, where that Rabbi Akiva says Demeshiv Aveda Have Ufater, that he would be like returning a lost object, and he would be potter by 3 as well. And this also taka makes sense. The advantage of mine to say that by 2 you would be chayev. B'shalish echi potter leit Rabbi Akiva. If when Reuven it says that it's 2, he would be chayev, then how could Shvur? So then how could Rabbi Akiva say that when Reuven says that he only owes 3 rather than 5, he would be potter? If that's the case, then it gives an opportunity for Reuven to be a trickster. Look, if I say that I only owe 2, then I'll have to swear. So instead I'll say 3. Then I'll be like I'm returning a lost object, potter, and then I'll be potter, potter. Rather, it would make sense to say that Akiva says not only by when he admits to 3 is he potter, but also when he admits to 2, he is potter. Elakasha l'Reb. Okay, so this sounds like it is a kasha on Reb Chia, because we're saying that Helach is potter. Shiny Hosom de Komisareh leishtar. No, you could say that Helach is chayev. The only reason why he's potter when he admits to 2 is because the document seems to be supporting him. The document seems to be saying that he only owes 2. Inami, alternatively, Yishum dahavale shtar shibud kakos benish bainal kfir shibud kakos. Alternatively, because the document is be'etzim testifying about a shibud kakos, and you don't swear about kakos. That's why when he admits to what the document says, he's potter from shivur. We're going to hold it over here. Another long and difficult daf, but very, very interesting stuff on the daf. We got into the sugya of Helach, the machlokas between Reb Chia, who says that Helach is chayev, and Reb Sheshes, who says that Helach is potter. Very interesting stuff. Peace out.